Welcome, everyone. We've got some more breaking VC news in our space. I'm joined today by Anoop Gupta, co-founder and CEO of Seekout, who I'll let introduce himself in a moment. But there was a really exciting deal that is being announced today. 65 million Series B, such a big investment in this space. And I think it means a lot for validation of the space of Seekout and where this market's going. But let's dig in with Anoop and find out more. Anoop, welcome.
Hey, good morning, George. How are you doing? Excited to be here.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for being here. And I'll let you introduce yourself. I'm aware of your background and your co-founders' backgrounds, and which are all impressive. And tell everybody about yourself, your co-founders, and a little bit about Seekout, if you don't mind.
No, sure, absolutely. So, George, I am a tech geek and an entrepreneur.
Okay.
That is there. So my background is I got my PhD at Carnegie Mellon. I was a professor at Stanford, sold my first startup to Microsoft in '97, spent 18 years there, including reporting directly to Bill Gates as his tech advisor, leading Skype and Exchange, variety of other things. And then we have started Seekout. I had still another startup left in me, and I'm super excited about working in this place because, people are so foundational. They're the most important asset of any company. My co-founder, Arvind Bala, was one of the main movers and shakers behind the Bing search engine. And the other two co-founders are also ex-Microsoft, with a lot of deep knowledge in AI, natural language, search engines. Kind of an interesting factoid is that amongst us, we have around 200 issued US patents. Doesn't make a business or break a business, but we are problem solvers, and we love to look at issues with new eyes, fresh eyes, and come up with solutions.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of the problem that you're solving here today. But one of the just looking at these deals, I think there are many founders out there who follow this in our space, and I'm really curious. What was it like to do this? During this pandemic, with everybody being remote. I imagine this was a little different than your last trajectory as an entrepreneur.
Actually, that worked out pretty well, George, in the following sense. Of course, it was a big change for everyone, but we were together for a couple of years before the pandemic hit. So the team knew how to work together, and our sales team was already doing most of the selling remote. So, we would go to events and we would get leads, but we were using Zoom to showcase our product and to interact with people and eventually get them to adopt and drive customer success. So that was one of the reasons why we did actually pretty well during the thing, because we were already used to selling and making business that way.
Yeah. And I think there were, based on what I saw in your release and the conversations I've had this past week with your team, you've had a particularly increasing amount of interest in your ability to help with diversity, which I find really, really key right now. Can you get into some of that and how you're helping there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, diversity has become a big issue from the C-level down into organizations with desire, willingness to invest in that. So the other thing I'll acknowledge is that, diversity, inclusion, belonging, all of those things are very important. But the things that stands out for people often is diversity recruiting. How can we find and hire more diverse people? Mm-hmm. We take a very systematic approach that we recommend, and Seekout helps. The first step is understanding diversity in your own company, at competitors, in geographies where you operate in, so you can set right targets. The second thing is to have conversations with your hiring managers to say how to make diversity-friendly job uh, descriptions, right? Because if you write 20 must-have skills and then you say nobody shows up, and you say, what is really important? Can I make it from senior DevOps to just DevOps engineer with the right amount of experience and skills? And I love this quote from Jim Barksdale, who was the CEO of Netscape, the first internet browser, and we started. So he says, hey, if you come to me with data, let's have a conversation and discussion. If it is about opinions, then let's go with mine. Right? So we empower the recruiters with data, and they can look at it and slice and dice it in lots of ways to have conversations to get to better, job descriptions. Then that same data gives you the sourcing strategy, which locations, which companies, where to go and find the data, and then we find you. We also provide recruiters and companies what we call blind hiring mode, because we know unconscious bias is a big issue that is there. And we, flexibly let you hide the images, hide the names, hide the email links, hide the schools. So that also helps in finding diversity data. And I'm going on and on because there is a lot. So, we also let you find diverse candidates in your applicant tracking systems. We let you find diverse candidates in your alumni. We help you use referrals and, ERGs to find. So it's a pretty comprehensive way in which we can help. And that's why there is a lot of excitement. So if there's any TA leader listening to this, our conversation, I would really encourage them to give us half an hour and a chance to show how we might be able to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I started with diversity because it is so important. And I think it highlights, to your point, the way you've got so many different aspects or areas where you can, infer diversity into the different pools of talent, if you will. And it's not only is it important, but I think it's a great example of how your tool looks at all of the different pools of talent.
Yes.
Diversity is one goal. There are other goals. And let's step back for a moment. How would you, for those who don't know Seekout, it's well, not just a diversity sourcing or recruiting tool. How would you describe your product today?
Yeah. So today, Seekout is a talent search engine, an engagement engine that gives companies a competitive edge for recruiting hard to find and diverse talent. Okay, so what does that mean? We've already talked about diversity. So if you're a diversity, TA leader. So another is, digital transformation is accelerating for every industry, every company, and they want deep tech talent. Now, a lot of this tech talent is very poorly represented on LinkedIn and often is not on LinkedIn. So Seekout is pretty amazing in how we can let you find people on GitHub, people with papers patents, with diverse such people, and engage with them because you know much more about them, you can reach out better, okay? We also, I believe, and I'm biased, we are the best AI search engine on the planet when it comes to talent, because there are different search engines for products or whatever. We are the best talent search engine with sourcing automation, with talent analytics, with discovery ATS. So, that's the third element. I'd say if you're looking for a search engine, because what people are finding with LinkedIn is it becomes an overfished pond. Everybody's searching exactly the same way, find me a Java developer, find me a marketing analyst. And we provide a fresh perspective on talent, fresh pools of talent, fresh diversity of talent. And then instead of in-mails, we give you emails, phone numbers, messaging campaigns. So it is a pretty comprehensive tool to help talent organizations.
Yeah. What are your customers seeing right now? We've covered a lot of ground there about what your product delivers. What are they, most focused on as you're engaging with customers these days?
So certainly, so our customers include, from the top tech to pharma to defense to banking to consulting to manufacturing, to really all over. And the biggest imperative and common thing is diversity. So, diversity is really an important initiative. The second observation is around the tech talent and deep tech talent. That is super important to people, and people find us pretty unique in that. The third one that we do see is talent analytics is becoming very big. And we have very convenient, interactive, and fine grained. You can get talent analytics. You can use 20 different filters to go to just the set of people you want and look at it and explore it in an interactive way. And the whole thing, John Vlastelica and others have been saying, how do recruiters become talent advisors? How do you step up your game and up level or your game? And we can be super helpful in that. And then people want to go beyond emails to, emails and other ways to have a more long-term engagement with the candidates, and they love us for that too.
Yeah, yeah. When I think about these deals and what it means, it's certainly great validation for you and the business. I'm curious staying on the customers for a moment. What can they expect from Seekout? Now that you've landed this Series B, how will you be using those funds that will impact them as you look forward?
No, great question, George. So one is you will just see us doubling down on what we are doing and do it better, whether it be diversity, talent, et cetera, et cetera. The second thing is, so far we have focused on external talent and talent hiring. Companies and what customers are asking us is how they maximize and leverage the talent they already have, their employees best, okay, is just as important. And the surprising thing to me is that companies understand their employees even less than the people they understand outside, because when they hired them, they might have had a resume, but nobody's, updated the skills graphs, internally. They don't know what they're doing, how they have contributed. So we believe, that there is a lot of the data that we have some of the richest profiles of people worldwide, and they, just apply just as well to the internal employees too. So we already bring a lot of data on rich experience about employees. We further believe if we can look into the HRIS data, the LMS data, the data that might be digital exhaust from coding tools that are being used inside the company, from reviews, we can help with talent retention, internal job marketplaces, with talent growth, to give a much more broader, view to companies on how to maximize their talent. We call it Talent 360.
Yeah. So getting into internal mobility and
Yes.
reskilling and upskilling and
Yes.
career paths and
Yes.
so forth. That's exciting. And I know you're, I know that you're leveraging AI and machine learning in the platform today, but I'm, the interesting thing about your platform, sort of as it should be, that's invisible to me as a user. When I look at the demos, it's, the really complex things that are happening behind the scenes are happening behind the scenes. I don't see that. And as an employee, it would be interesting to see a path evolve in front of me, based on the work that I'm doing or the experience or my behaviors that I'm demonstrating. So that's exciting. That's a big focus as I talk to employers right now. while there's been a lot of buzz in the marketplace about the concept of internal mobility, I think most of them that I talk to are still at the very beginning of putting a plan together for that. So it's great timing for you.
No, thank you so much. One of the things we did before we even started Seekout was we built something called Career Insights. So most of us say, hey, I'm a UX designer at this company. This is what my friends have done, and therefore here are my next possibilities that are there. So we analyze every resume in the US, and resumes have career progressions. Okay, so we could say, hey, if you're a UX designer at Microsoft, this is what you do next, or what your peers have done next. And that's beyond your network in some sense, where they've gone. And let's say they went to Facebook, right? But then you say, but where are Facebook UX designers going next? So we could let you explore any career paths for any particular role. We could tell you what were the skills that were needed, how would you acquire those skills, and you can do it for internal or external. And if you're making an internal transition, we could say, here are other people who have made a similar transition,
Yeah.
sorry. Do you want to talk to them? So the possibilities that we see are just endless in how we can help both employees and how we can help companies maximize, the value they can get from their employee base.
That's interesting. If you get me going too much on internal mobility, we'll be here too long. But I'm glad to hear you focus on the use cases that you are describing. That at a high level, we're all employee focused, and I'm a believer in the research that I've been doing says that the only way to do this successfully, of course, for the employee, but also for the enterprise, is to really give the keys to the employee and sort of open this up from their perspective, because the sort of top-down approach we just haven't seen it work. That's for another conversation. Maybe we'll do this again and talk just about internal mobility. But I want to move before I get to the market and what this deal might mean for the market. There's one constituency that I always like to touch on because they get overlooked in a lot of these when I hear people talking about deals. But your team, your employees, how will this deal impact the business internally? Will you be hiring? What are your plans there for how you'll leverage this investment?
Yeah. So George, definitely, as a result of these deals, we have, tremendous growth targets ahead of us, and we will be hiring for that. One of the things I say to our people is that as we grow, it creates tremendous opportunities for each and every one of them to take on new responsibilities, to manage people, to learn a new skill, to scale. So, and one of my, favorite quotes is from Sheryl Sandberg, and this is a, talk she gave at the Harvard Business Schools, and her conversation with Eric Schmidt at that time. So she says, when you're on a rocket ship, don't ask for what seat, just get on. It's only when there is a lack of growth, then there is stagnation in politics, okay? And you have to worry about it. So I just believe that, we will be creating tremendous opportunities because I believe we are on a rocket ship in some sense, and we have a strong culture and strong values in how we operate. I think that will lead to the growth.
Yeah. Well, as they say, this isn't your first rodeo when it comes to scaling a business, both creating and exiting, but also, your time at Microsoft is a scale that is quite unique. There's only one Microsoft out there. So I've heard really good things about your culture, and I'm so I
Thank you.
yeah, that's and I like that again that you focus there, thinking about those types of issues first, employee first, as they say. Okay, now onto the market. So 65 million Series B, the investor Tiger Global is. They've had other deals in the overall HR technology space, Allied.io, which is on the performance
Mhm.
side of things, Lattice and the learning and performance, Olive and WorkVivo more in the core HR space. But when you get out of HR, they're the brands that they've invested in are, pick a top tech firm in any category, and they led around in that
Yeah.
in the category. I'll just say that. So when I see that you're partnered with Tiger Global, I immediately start thinking about the future. You and I discussed this briefly,
Yeah.
so that I'll give you that as a backdrop to say. So, what does this mean for the market? What can you share about what it means for the market? What can the marketplace expect from Seekout in the future now?
So, we are really excited to be partnering with Tiger Global, with Madrona, who was a past investor, and Mayfield.
Yeah,
What this means is that there is a lot of innovation and value yet to be created that we can capture. So, as I said, I don't think it is just about the systems of record, which are applicant tracking systems or even the HRISs. It is looking at people as a whole, right? Means people are just so fundamental. I talk to people when I say, there was a time when IT was a cost center. You said, how do you reduce your spend on IT and how can you do cost savings? And today we say IT is strategic. The money is available. What do you want, right? As digital transformation. I believe the same for the HR space. Okay, today often HR is treated as a cost center, but it shouldn't be treated as a cost center. People, I just generally deeply believe people are what make companies. They make companies. When we are hiring, the hiring that we do is the most important function that we do for the company and how we grow our employees. So I think, and existing systems are not solving that problem. And I think Tiger believes, like we do, if you look at their quote in our press release, that there is a huge opportunity and we want to be the market leaders in that.
great, great. Well, the deal is just announced, so I'm not. I won't. I know there's only some. You've got to make all those decisions about
Yeah.
where you're going. So I won't push you for any more details on that. Are there? I'm curious about your roadmap. Is there anything coming in the roadmap today? Anything in the product that folks will see in the next quarter or two that you're currently working on?
No, let me, we are just continuously innovating. Some of the areas I talked about, diversity, digital transformation, talent, analytics. We will love to have the opportunity, you know, to talk to customers, share these, get them excited, and build a partnership so they are along with us for the journey. Because
Yep.
all of these things are connected to each other. A company today, just using our system, can say, current companies, Microsoft, show me, um, African American people who are, solution architects in Washington, D.C. with security clearance for a $10 billion JEDI project. Okay, we can do that today for people. So there's just tremendous potential to
Yeah.
be going creative and helping out.
Yeah. And what's the URL that folks should use to find you? or how best
Oh,
to connect with you?
just to go to seekout.com.
Okay.
That is our website. They can go there. I encourage them to sign up for a demo and talk to one of our reps to see it. One of the things that I will tell you, just, there's so much noise in the marketplace and everybody seems to be doing everything. I will tell you one thing, George, when people sit down and they actually watch it and see it, they come back to us, they talk to us, the light bulbs go off. So I believe tremendously in the power of showing what we do. Even when we are hiring, I personally do demos for people because they say, okay, I want to join the company. That is there. So I really encourage people to do that. And we have some great people we'll connect them with.
Yeah, well, I can vouch for your demo skills. Though when I met you, it was one of my last travels a year ago. You did a demo for me, and um, little did I know I'd be talking to you about a year later, and what would have been emerging over the following year. So congrats to you. This is really validating. I know this is where the work begins. I know you know that as much as anyone.
Yes.
I wish you the best of luck, and congrats to all of the Seekout team. And thanks for sharing this news.
Hey, thank you so much for George. I really enjoyed the conversation and look forward to continuing the conversation.
All right, thanks. Take care.